Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited, a show that we do once a week, where we talk about the original Quantum Leap show, the one that ran between 1989 to 1993, starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. Right now, today, we're going to be discussing the season 5 episode, Liberation. It is the 13th episode of the 5th season, and for those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, I don't want to say as always because it doesn't always work, but most of the time we have our distinguished guest, the script doctor, here with us. The script doctor, for those who are not familiar with him, although most of you are, he is a veteran screenwriter. He has his own Patreon where he teaches screenwriting. And in addition to that, he has his own show called Scripts on Saturdays, where he and a guest go over scripts that have been or are still on what's called Hollywood's blacklist.
Mhm.
But basically, these are movies that Hollywood is considering producing and greenlighting. And at some point, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But Script and a guest, they go over these scripts, and it's a very fun show. And I've been on it a number of times, and I always love being there. How's it going, Script?
It's going well. I've missed you guys because I've just been very busy working on a couple of productions that are shooting in the Greater Toronto area. So I've been pulled away to help out on certain things and other parts just to give my opinion because that's what they asked me to be there for. So I'm pretty happy that I've actually got my first Thursday night off in what seems like forever, and also able to spend it with you and everybody out there in the chat.
Well, we're very excited to hang out with you. I was going to say that a distinguished guest that you always see here, but then I remember that recently you've been working a lot, so that would have been a strange thing for me to say, so I had to quickly rework it. That's why I sounded all confused. But yeah, no, you've been here for most of our episodes. I know recently you've had more work, but everybody's always happy when you're here. You always add that additional insight when it comes to the writing and just your experience, and we all benefit from that, so we thank you for being here. And
I'm always
actually,
happy to be here.
there should be another panelist that he is on his way home for work, but I don't want to say anything until he arrives. But we'll probably be seeing him, and I see that there's already some good people in the chat. Today we're going over that Liberation episode. You know, we're already kind of in season 5. We're more towards the end of this show than the beginning, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think there's only 12 episodes left, I think.
Maybe this is the 13th. Is there only 22?
Maybe 9 then. No, 1,
yeah,
2.
we only got 9 left.
Yeah, 9. That's right.
I mean, now that I was watching all this stuff, I kind of started understanding some of the problems that the season had. I never did something like we're doing now, where we go over every week and really discuss every episode. But I think it's become clear in season 5 that even though they took a lot of swings, there are a lot of misses in this season. Although this week's episode, even though it's not my favorite thing, I usually, even as a kid, I never loved the episodes that he's a woman. I know some people are probably going to throw tomatoes at me now, but I understood why being a woman was interesting and why they did that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I was concerned, less woman is always better. Okay. Okay. Let me rephrase that. In my personal life, more woman is good, but on Quantum Leap, on Quantum Leap, less woman is good, if you know what I mean. At least less woman in the sense that he's a woman. I don't know why, because I always felt that there was a part of that episode that there's something awkward that he's a woman and he has to deal with. And I don't know. As a kid, I didn't love it. How about you?
I didn't mind it just because it gave like very different perspectives. And it seems to be like kind of a running thing where every season Sam is a woman, I think no more than twice per season, with maybe another exception. Maybe season 3 there's more. But they at least explore like different perspectives to it, and I like the fact that it does open up other points of view. This episode does a lot. It actually reminds this would be a great episode to show to modern day feminists to actually see what the intention was versus the people that that long for power and how they abuse it. Because that is the theme of this episode, which I found to be pretty great. And it reminds me of stuff that I was taught. Oh, hey, Nick, great to see you here. It reminds me of the stuff that we were taught in high school when dealing with this era about how the original movement was more so about choice and rights and not so much of taking away or subjugating, but there were people in there that really wanted to take away, subjugate as a form of revenge for how they were treated. And they were willing to sacrifice the entire movement so that they could achieve that goal.
I guess I understand what you're saying. How's it going, Nick? You're okay? You seem more confused than I do now.
Well, I was trying to see if we were live or not, but it doesn't look like we are.
No, we are live.
We're 6 minutes in.
Live. Okay.
We're 6 minutes in. Everybody's like in the chat, happy that you're here. You didn't even notice? I love that our conversation sounds so casual that you don't even think we're streaming. Yeah, no, we actually, first of all, there was some technical thing that I was clearing up, and then we waited some time, but then at the end I just said, well, we'll start. Nick will show up. I hinted to the chat that we were expecting another person, but I didn't want to say anything because you never know if you're on your way back from work. Who knows?
Well, no, this one was a family issue. I laid down some discipline with my daughter, and she was having a meltdown, and my wife just gave me a look like, "You're not just going to do that and then leave, are you?"
And you told her, "No, I got Quantum Leap Revisited, baby."
So I had to work it out with my daughter a little bit, but.
Oh, so you're running a parallel theme to what was going on in the episode between fathers and daughters here.
Yes.
What is it? Does your wife, is she excited? Nick, is your wife excited that you're one of the hosts of Quantum Leap Revisited?
No, I've been trying to convince her to watch Quantum Leap with me. Well, she doesn't like sci-fi. I have a feeling that this is kind of going to be something that would be up her alley because, well, she wouldn't be interested in the whole, Leap program, all the Ziggy, type stuff. I think the period piece and how they're going to solve this would be up her alley. So, but no, but she knows that I like to be here, so she's cool with that. But I just took all my daughter's screens away. So
I see. I bet your wife tells her friends, she's like, "Well, my husband is so great. He's on this stream called Quantum Leap Revisited." That's probably what it's like what she starts conversations with her friends, I suppose.
Oh. Well, you can think that.
My husband's the best. He's on Quantum Leap Revisited. That's my headcanon and how things go down in the Nick residence. But in any case, speaking of wives and women and whatever, we have this episode this week, Liberation, and I'm about to start this thing. I just want to make sure I have the second file too, because there's the real change in the middle.
Well, while you're doing that, since I wasn't here last week, and you weren't here either, were you, Script, last week?
No, sadly, I wasn't here.
That episode was bad. That episode was bad. And it's funny because usually in comedies when they do that trope, it's like dating two girls, not married to two women with two separate families.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt like a lot of Ray Romano type humor to me. You guys were mentioning some other stuff, but like just kind of like that situational humor that I don't know. It
was one of the weakest episodes. I think that it's one
however,
of the
I was very happy with how Sam handled it. in the end. Because
Yes.
I mean, I get it that you're like, oh, neither family has a father, but he's still around, but they go in and they show each one of them ended up with much better man. Like, he is even pawning off the kids' gifts. He's going to his like 10 and 12-year-old sons from each family and begging for money. It's like those families were so better off.
Yeah,
Without
Sam
him.
was stuck in the body of a horrible man who had not one, not two, but 3 families that we know of.
But how do we
And-
know? How do we know that when he came back, aside from Al's like, Sam, he rehabilitated himself. But it's like, how did he rehabilitate himself? He's complete scum.
Well, he's got to
Well-
pay 2 alimonies. I mean, there's that kind of might motivate you.
Well,
I guess.
yeah. Good luck trying to get that. I mean, it sounded like the situation is it's like he's going away on business trips. He's like very unsuccessful at this because he's going away on business trips, but he's actually not working. He's just gambling.
Yeah.
So these 2 families, when he shows up, instead of bringing a paycheck like they're expecting, he's asking for money when he shows up.
But he's so charismatic that he has 2 wives that are very head over heels over him, which is very odd. Like, it's just,
and
how do
it
you
was funny
find a
in
woman
the
like that?
salon.
Yeah.
Neither of them think that he's cheating. They just think he's addicted to gambling.
Yeah.
Well, good news for you. I managed to get this file up and running. So now we are going to start. I think this is and I thank you, Marla, for sending me that script of the show. So in any case, we'll be the leap home. And then it's just this lady her name is like Diana St. Cloud or something. What a strange name.
Diana St. Cloud, and never trust a woman with bangs.
Right. She does have bangs and a strange
Right.
haircut. She's kind of strange.
Well,
You're
no,
like-
that's a 60s style type of thing going on. But no, I've learned from many other people, women included, that you never trust a woman who wears bangs deliberately. And for any of you that are out there wearing bangs, I don't intend to. I'm not mocking you. I'm just a weird advice that has worked out for me, actually.
And this is the part where Sam arrives, and he's standing, and this lady is just doing a little bit of lecturing, and then they're like, "Do it, liberation now, burn it, or whatever it is," and then Sam throws his bra in the air
Brazier onto a bonfire. Yeah.
into a bonfire, and then you have the upbeat music. Once it's almost like I don't know if it's a Mandela effect. I once saw a widescreen version of this opening.
Yeah.
I know that sounds strange, but it really did happen. I'll tell you what I think, and I could be wrong on this. I think that the pilot episode was shot in a way that you could do widescreen, and I feel like somewhere, at some point, although this doesn't sound logical, I once saw the pilot episode in widescreen format where even the theme song had like a widescreen.
Well, sometimes, not always, but sometimes in the 80s, they would shoot their pilot, because it would be a 2-hour pilot typically for a drama. They would shoot it on film that wasn't 4:3, because they wanted to make sure that you're wowing the executives that are eventually going to greenlight it, and also you're going to be, even though it is going to be shown in a 4:3 format on television, the quality is going to look pretty good even on the over-the-air broadcast. And then, of course, to keep costs down, then they switch to your standard film.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that they used to do stuff like that, and I have a feeling that they did it with this show. I don't think they could do it with any of the other episodes, but for some reason, I feel like I saw a better version of the opening. But that's just a random little bit of information. They're here after he threw the bra, and then there's this lady that's like talking, and she's like, "Yeah, It's a penis fallacy with a penis. I don't know.
Well,
She's talking.
She has a normal speech about wanting rights and doesn't want men to be ruling over women just as much as she doesn't want women to be ruling over men. And she's saying things that seem pretty fair until, a big dumb jock starts, heckling her. And then that's when
She's
she
like,
starts to
power
get a
my
little
butt.
mean.
And then she's
Yeah.
like, you're a wimp. You're a wimp.
And then talks about fallacies and all that stuff. Yeah.
And I think she's doing it to get under his skin,
Yeah.
And then, and then the police arrive. Let me see for a second.
The police arrive because it's an unlawful thing, or some little double speak.
It's October 16th, 1968.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the real title. It's not like Fontgate. See, Fontgate really didn't happen many times, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I don't think it did.
The only other Fontgate there was maybe with the Lee Harvey Oswald episode, that sometimes the title looked one way, sometimes another way, and it felt kind of strange. I'm trying to see. I thought it was Deborah Pratt here.
It was guest starring Max Gale.
Is that a known person?
Yeah, that Max Gale played Wojciech Horowitz on Barney Miller. Really good actor.
I see. Written by Chris Abbott and Deborah
there's
Pratt.
a funny comment from Nahodik. You can pull that one up.
Let's see.
Hodik? Who?
I have Nudick.
Oh.
Shoeing a bra makes your boobs saggy. Why are women so obsessed with cell phones? I don't know, man. There's some women in the chat. You can ask them. I'm not an expert in this.
You got a couple of guys on the panel here, but it just shows how different what feminine was in the 60s.
Yeah. And actually, a lot of women in Germany don't wear bras, and their breasts are very perky.
Oh, that's some interesting information you had for us.
Well, I mean, you're forcing the muscles to kind of keep them in place so they're not getting atrophied by way of a bra support.
Not only is he an expert in scripts, he's an expert in bras.
I like
as well.
boobs. I'm just saying.
Who knew that Script Doctor was also an expert in so many other topics?
Well, I mean, if I got into med school, I'd probably be into a lot of mammogram stuff, but I'd be kicked out right away. But I prefer to just, be with my current girlfriend and talk other things.
I see. I bet your girlfriend is proud of your presence on Quantum Leap Revisited.
She doesn't know I do this.
What are you doing, honey? Nothing. Who are you talking to?
I'm in a meeting.
It's funny, like you've been here. We've been doing this for a few years. Until now, she hasn't picked up on what you do.
No, yeah. Like again, my joining on these things works out quite well because she's in my apartment at the other end of the apartment working on her own stuff. So she doesn't care what I do over here.
Maybe she's on a stream.
Maybe if she is, I don't know about it. Yeah.
I wonder what show she talks about. But yeah, so in any case, I don't know how I got this avatar. Tell some jokes, guys. I'll be right back.
I have Noldick. No, she does not. And Nick just left too. Okay. All right. So, okay. So I guess I'm here. I guess it's my show right now. So I hope you guys are all enjoying the series so far. Let's see here. There we go. For the team, it took 6 days to find him. Now it's right away.
What happened to Nick, by the way?
I don't know. He dropped just as you did.
I didn't get rid of him. But we're back better than ever. What did happen to Nick? That was very strange. If you see him back, let me know and I'll. Yeah, no, the reason I left was I noticed that it didn't turn on my talking avatar.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just trying to turn it on, so I guess I left and came back. I don't know what happened to Nick, but hopefully it'll be okay. In any case, we're here. It's written by Chris Abbott and Deborah Pratt. Do you know who Chris Abbott is? Because I don't remember him.
Oh, okay. He's ringing a bell. He was definitely a producer. I know that. I think he's from Magnum PI.
It's possible. All I know is that it's a name that I don't think we see often in the writing credits. And he
No,
wrote it
I
with
think
Deborah.
this is his only episode, but I'll quickly check here. Let me see.
It's certainly, I can see, I mean, Deborah Pratt, once it's like a women's liberation thing, I can see how she'd be involved in this. This is very much in her wheelhouse. But
Yeah.
Chris Abbott, I just don't know who that is. So it's strange because most of the episodes, or a lot of them where Deborah Pratt wrote, she just wrote them. Whereas this one is like, it's Chris Abbott and Deborah Pratt. And I almost think that maybe Chris Abbott was working on it and Deborah Pratt kind of had some notes, if you know what I'm saying.
Or other way around, maybe, because I'm looking here. So Chris Abbott, he's good friends with Don Belisario. He did 58 episodes as a producer of Magnum PI.
I see.
So it might have been the situation of like, hey, we're doing this Women's Libs episode, and we might need another set of eyes on it.
So you have the maybe that's the case. I just feel like this would have been up her alley, Deborah Pratt. It's like a perfect episode for her. But maybe they teamed up. In any case, you have this lady talking, the heckler that you talked about script. Then the police show up, and it looks like they've arrested her, Sam's character.
Mhm.
And the father is here. He's like setting up hors d'oeuvres because he has some guests in the living room. Happen to be the most kind of slimy, chauvinistic guests that they could find.
Oh yeah, he played that. He played that type of jerk really well. I actually I remember in college, whenever I'd have a part-time job, I'd meet salesmen that like worked in the office that were just like this dude.
So this guy, he's
Oh,
like,
Nick, you're faint. We can barely hear you.
I can't hear him at all. Is he? I can see. I feel like RoboCop. I can feel him, but I can't remember him, or something like that. I don't know. Is that the line from RoboCop?
Is it?
I
Doesn't
can
ring
see,
a bell.
I can feel them, but I can't remember them.
Maybe RoboCop 2?
RoboCop 1. I can feel them, but I can't remember them. It
Is
has
that
to
what he's
be.
talking to Lewis about his family?
Yeah, he's like.
Oh.
How about now?
Oh yeah, there we
now
go.
we can hear you. Yeah.
For some reason, my mic had gotten turned down.
It's okay.
In rebidding.
Anyhow,
But I was noticing, it seemed kind of strange, Sam's initial reaction. And I knew some of it was because he's like, oh, I'm in a woman again. But anytime, really in this season and last season, anytime anything about women's rights has come up, he's been like a huge advocate. Like he gets excited, it almost seems like, to help tell ones like, look, it's going to happen. This is not your life. We've had a couple episodes of that.
Mhm.
So he's sitting there making faces while he's in the crowd. It felt off to me. I know it's supposed to be because he's like, oh, I'm in a woman again. But I don't know. It just felt like he really didn't want to be there.
Yeah, because when you're at those types of events, they tend to never go well.
True. But it just seemed like it was like, and I clocked it somewhere in the midpoint of the episode when he's talking to the daughter. It almost tonally shifts, but up until that point, he doesn't really seem on board with it. The other thing that I kind of noticed that I kind of thought was strange, either originally she was doing this intentionally to upset her husband, but I didn't think that's the case because originally they weren't going to get divorced. But like she just spaced on this cocktail party. Like he had no idea she was going to be gone, and that kind of seemed a little weird to me. Unless she was thinking she was going to be back in time.
Maybe she thought she would be back in time. That's the only thing I can think of. But in this scene, I just want to quickly say, she's like, do you want Cheetos? She doesn't want a Cheeto, or else she'll look like a Cheeto, or something like that, because she's pregnant, or
Cheese puff.
right, it's a cheese
Cheese
puff.
puff. She'll look like a cheese puff.
Yeah, there was something. Yeah, I was close enough. But and then there's something else where somebody talks about the traditional family, and this lady kind of slips in something else. It's like, no, that's actually paid for by the individual. I don't really remember what they're talking about, but there's something about some nonsense. In any case, I think the idea of this scene is to show that this is a time where men are very much in control and the women are like second rate, and everybody in the room understands that, according to this show. I'm not saying that stuff like that didn't happen in real life, but I feel like they really went all in that scene. It's like as many chauvinistic comments they could roll out within a course of like 2 minutes.
Well, it's funny because when you look at it, it's almost like it's completely shifted the other way. It's now people in a group trying to say, what about the traditional family? And it's like the traditional family isn't a thing anymore. But at that time, if you weren't in the traditional family mold, say if you were a single woman out on your own, everything was just designed against you.
Yeah, and then on top of that, the traditional family that they're talking about in the 60s was only about 40 years old, because prior to the 1920s, your nuclear family of like a husband, a wife, and 2 kids was pretty crazy, because you'd always end up having 4, 5, 6, or 8 kids up until that point. That was the traditional family, tons of kids, because 1, child mortality was high, and number 2, most of them would be, it would be child family labor of sorts to make ends meet, because you'd have small plots of land and be working there, when you didn't have to be a farmer as your only form of trade. You could have a smaller family, and you could use that extra income to make that family have a more lucrative life. That's how it became the nuclear family. It's the concept of it being a tradition by the 1960s it's really just a generation and a half at that point, and it's barely a tradition, that I would argue.
Yeah.
Of course, here I am, a guy with a girlfriend we both want lots of kids. It's like, well, what's our limit? We're gonna have to actually look at our budget.
I don't understand this comment. The mom in the female episode, I love this episode, is
right.
I don't understand.
That's correct. You do not understand. Neither do I. The grammar's a little off, but that's okay. Maybe there's the rest of the sentence.
There was probably a word that was typed in. It's one word that you probably switch here, and it all becomes clear, but I don't know what that word is. Sorry. And the thing is that it's funny, because today would be like Nick said, it's the exact opposite in a cocktail party. It's everybody's bashing men. I don't think it should be either of those things, and I think everybody should just kind of be nice to each other, and there should be a good vibe. But for some reason, it has to be either or, and I don't know. I wonder to myself if every man in the 60s acted exactly like these guys, because these guys aren't just of their time. They're kind of sorry, I don't want to say a bad word. They're kind of crappy about it. They're over the top. They're a bit over the top crappy. I'm not saying that no men like this existed, but I think that even then probably men existed and thought that, but I don't know if they were always as vocal. Like within this cocktail party, the amount of vocal remarks that are sort of demeaning or just over the top.
But it's coming from just the one guy, right? Like the actual husband himself, he understands like a role, but he's only confused and worried, because he doesn't demean his wife in any way, really. He's taking the role that he thinks he's in, but he definitely loves his wife, and he can loves his children. But the other guy, was it Peter?
He's a jerk.
He is like a problem, and he's probably the ones that, lots of people who would look at their grandparents and be like, yeah, that was my grandpa, or something of that in these days. That you could probably say that there are some of those, but At the same time, you also know, like, there's probably a lot of people out there, like, what is it, Ward Beaver from Leave It to Beaver? Like, that was a good dad. He never hit or abused his kids, and he never talked down to his wife. And he's a good role
And
model.
there's
No, he was a swell guy.
Sam brings out even that, my dad never treated my mom this way, and it's interesting because, like Script was saying, the husband in this is not as bad, but he's also not great. But sometimes things, we've talked about product of the time. We've talked in the past about racial issues. Like sometimes there's, we'd see that there was someone who was maybe kinder in a racial situation, but they weren't necessarily inviting black people to come sit at their table.
Right.
Because it's what's the social norm. So for him, his social norm is, I'm head of the household, and when I say this is final what it is, everybody falls in line. And so he's like freaking out because his status at work, his status in the community is coming into question because of his wife and daughter's actions. And when he says, okay, I'm going to get a grip on this, I'm going to tell you we're not doing that, and they're going against that. Now he's at a loss because that's always just worked, and everybody's been happy and everybody's been okay with the situation. So he's at a loss. He doesn't understand why it's not working. And at one point, Al tries to explain that to Sam, which was interesting.
It's generational conditioning to a degree. I mean, it's not deliberately done. It's just a byproduct of how roles have been as a needs to survival. And now, since survival is a lot easier, those roles don't have to be as held so strictly.
What I can say is, and this is going to be a strange comment, but what I've seen of older generations, if you see like an older couple, a lot of times maybe the man will have this vibe, this kind of old school vibe of being the man, but the woman often knows exactly how to press a certain button or to maneuver something in a certain way, even in those situations. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Some do, yeah.
Like I've seen situations where, let's say, an older couple, the woman knows how to make him feel that kind of I'm number one, and meanwhile all this stuff is happening exactly the way she wants it. And he also knows that there's certain things that at the end, if she wants to do, he has to do that. I guess what I'm saying is I feel like a lot of times people want to create a certain history and just say, well, it was all like this, just like a black and white situation. It was all like this thing. But I think that things are a little more complicated and nuanced in life. I'm not saying that there weren't men like the ones at this cocktail party, but I feel like this episode is going through great lengths to highlight this issue. And I don't know.
And I also think that because we've touched on this in a previous episode that kind of dealt with this, where part of the situation is, during World War II, the men all have to go off to war. When they come back, the women have been in the workforce. They've gotten kind of that independence. They've kind of gotten that a different form of.
Yeah, they felt more useful on a larger scale as opposed to just the intimate scale of a family, right?
And then they were just, being pushed back into that role, and that's what created a lot of this. The guys wanted it to go back to how it was before, and so there's just kind of that push and pull as society is changing, and some people were more extreme on it, and others less so. But it certainly was a thing.
Yeah. In any case, let's let's move along with this things before I forget. So they're in this jail cell, and what happens is that there's a police officer that comes in. He's kind of very aggressive with Diana St. Cloud.
Yep.
But then Sam kind of gets physical with him, and then as he's getting physical with this dude, Sam's husband shows up, and I guess because I am assuming that the chauvinist guy at the apartment, at the house that we just saw, is the son of this police chief or something like that.
That's right.
And
Yes.
he's like, your son is there, and it could mean a promotion for him, right? And then he's like, all right, well, I'll make sure that nobody puts on record they were here or whatever it is. And then Al, this is the part that I don't understand, because I was like, Sam, your knight in shining armor routine worked. But what exactly did Sam change? What was initially supposed to happen? Like, what did Sam do that was so good here? What happened in the real history? I didn't really get it.
So in the real history, she didn't jump forward and defend there and put her hands on the officer. So she was just released versus it kind of being this bigger ordeal.
Again, but what's the difference between Sam and not Sam? So initially she wasn't released?
Initially, she didn't attack the officer.
Yeah, because she pushed the cop and showed some aggression in back. That led to, I guess, this Diana woman thinking that this could be acceptable means of getting their message across.
So Sam, if anything, did something bad here.
Right.
He
Right,
taught
and because
Diana
he did that, that's why this officer, like, because she did that physical aggression, all these women are going to get let out. But because she got physical with him, he's like, I got to book her. And then that's when the whole, oh, your son is currently at my house and he's up for promotion. And he's like, well, maybe we could let her name slide. But this creates a pressure between her and her husband because of this, because Sam jumped in and created that extra layer. Now she's not one of the ones that's just going to get released. He kind of has to bribe her way out.
I see, but in the original history, nobody died in this scene, right? It's just Sam just did what he did. I don't.
In the original history, Diane gets shot, and he has to save her.
Right, but not in.
But that's later.
It's later, anyways. Basically, until now, Sam has done more damage than good. That's my bottom line. So, the husband brings her home, and he's like trying to talk to him, and I think here Al tells him that Diana St. Cloud is going to be shot or something. Is it already here that he tells him?
I think it's around here. Like, she's going to be shot at another protest, and you got to stop that. And this is like, who gets shot? Actually, that target changes quite frequently in this episode.
Here in the kitchen, he's with his daughter, who was at the protest with him. His daughter Susie, I think her name is, and he's expected to make food or something.
He's making hotcakes. Yeah.
Hotcakes. There's something. When does he say he's making eggs Beckett or something? Is that
a la Beckett?
Well, And what is it like? It's supposed to be something else today. It's like, isn't this omelet day or something like that?
It's like, I'm making eggs Beckett.
Yeah.
It's Mama Beckett, because somebody said it's Samuel Beckett, the
playwright.
Playwright.
Like, actually, I meant Mom Beckett, the best cook in history. They're like, I don't know who that is.
And I think here the kid brings in a newspaper, and the newspaper has the photo of her.
Yep, that everybody at work is gonna make fun of her husband for.
Everybody at work is going to be making fun of me. What am I going to do? This is a disaster. How could you do this to me?
And, we have to look at this in perspective of the time period, because that would be a big deal. That would be like if you went and did something embarrassing at a Coldplay concert and it ended up on the big screen and everybody saw it, and it was on Twitter and all that. Yeah. Like, everybody in the office, everybody in the town is reading this paper.
Yeah, because there's some gossip and Schadenfreude all associated with it. Oh, look at that! The boss, his wife, is defying him at a women's rally. Ooh, that means maybe I can defy him at his job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, he's in the car now, Sam, and he's driving. And I think there's also like, Diana St. Cloud said a lot of good things, but I didn't agree with her violence, and I had to stop it. Or something like that, what he's mumbling to himself.
Here, Diana's talking about her home life, where her dad beat her and her wife and her mom growing up. And this kind of stimulates to her where she's seeing that example and assuming that is across the board when it comes to society. And she doesn't realize that it's actually a lot more rare than than it is. But she also uses language that uses umbrella terms of oppression, abuse, lack of rights that other people can equate to, even though her intention is a bit more in violence and abuse, and everything else is more like, well, yeah, society does teach women that, you know, once they finish going to school, they find a husband, they get married, they have kids, they take care of the kids. That's their responsibility. And then the husband is to provide for them. And then you take that oversimplified thing, and then you just add in certain extra conditions, such as, oh, yes, in exchange for having kids and raising them and taking care of the home, you get to reward him in bed, and you get to take advantage of the money that he provides for you, all for in exchange for your soul, is essentially her talking point here.
Yeah.
And there's definitely no doubt that there were women in situations like that prior to the 1960s. I mean, most historically, marriage was actually used as basically an exchange or deal between two parents. It didn't really have that much to do with love in the higher echelons of society.
Here he's in the kitchen. There's something about locking the girl up in the room. He's like, I won't let her go to this thing. I'm going to lock her in a room. She can't come out there.
So Sam, when he goes to the woman's place, and they're talking about their next protest, Sam uses the argument. It's like, well, if you act in violence, they're only going to point at the hateful things. But if you act, non-violent, then they'll take a look at the system and maybe reevaluate it. So, excuse me, he was giving a better argument of how to actually do a proper protest, which is really like the realest one. Is if you have a protest of something, the moment you act out violently, you ruin your argument, because they're no longer going to listen to what you're upset about. They're just going to remember the violence that you committed. And therefore, the entire protest you're doing is moot. But he was saying, well, if you do something like a sit-in and it's not violent, and then it compels them to kind of listen to you, maybe that gives you the opportunity to show them where there are errors in the system that we have, and work towards correcting those errors. And that's how you have a successful protest. And then, Al's like, yep, that did it. They're going to do a sit-in. Nobody gets shot. Everything is A-okay and good. And then that changes to Susie getting shot. And now Sam's trying to keep her home, and him and George are on the same page. But now George is like, I'm just going to lock her in her room.
And we saw we kind of skipped over, the officer came by because he saw them go in there, and he says, hey, you said you were going to get them in the rain, but I saw them there, and I've been instructed to everybody observe part of this group to give those names to the FBI. And that is government overreach right there. It's like, oh, we have this protest and we want all their names. And it's like, but you know what? That goes to Sam's point. They're out there in a public place burning the bras. That is what made it, not legal. They took it that next step. They were being more angry. And we see that in any time there's any kind of protest from any group, the government immediately starts trying to keep a record of who it is. So when it escalates, they knew who was there.
Exactly. One of the things that's kind of fascinating is that just like with the draft dodgers, or the people for the Vietnam draft, the idea is that if it's you can burn your draft card or articles of clothing, so long as whatever it is you're burning or the methods of is not going to be damaging any other private property or public property. And in this case here, we see that they have a bonfire used for bras, and it's not doing any other damage, and it seems to be under control. And so it's really hard, aside from maybe like not a felony, but probably a bylaw violation of like open flame in a public place. That would definitely get on the radar and cause for issues. But I think the other part, the way that the U.S. Young men who are trying to fight the draft did it, they put it into like a metal bin that was already on fire, or had a fire pit in the middle of it, so it was relatively contained. An open fire pit like that, especially in like a downtown part of town, it's not really a smart idea.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a any type of protest is a delicate situation. It doesn't matter whether it's on one side of the political aisle, the other. They're always such a testy thing because they're always on the precipice of lighting up into something much bigger than maybe many of the people who come out to it intend.
Yeah, it's a very tempting situation for that one person, that one small group of people, to try and get a form of attention they've never had before and do something crazy that completely derails the entire goal of what that protest could be.
Yeah. Anyhow, so they're here doing whatever it is that they're doing.
What's this? It's the dinner party attempt part 2 that George is hosting to try and determine who does he give the promotion to. And we already had a scene where George is saying, like, if I give it to Evie, I don't have to pay her the same amount as what I would give it to Pete. But Pete's got a family to support. And then Al's like, well, doesn't Evie? Maybe, well, why is she working? And he doesn't, and George doesn't know. And he's saying, well, I mean, she's got a husband to support her, so it's probably not as important. And as Sam says, well, maybe there's something more to that. You should ask her.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Sam is encouraging her to speak more about this to try to help her get the job in this part, no?
Oh, yeah, because Pete's talking nothing but work at the table, and Evie's just trying to be a polite guest.
Right. All right, well, let's... they move along, and then, of course, she comes back in, and she starts saying stuff that's really intelligent about whatever it is that they're talking about.
Well, they're talking about health insurance for their clients, and Pete is thinking, like, yeah, it's going to be the same. We just have to worry about the men and their coverage and their rates and what they need. And Evie is saying, well, their women have been entering the workforce in the last few years, and their clients as well. So how do we are able to address their needs? And she makes the argument about, like, a mother doesn't want to have to leave her kids alone. So there's that. And what happens if a mother is alone and is the sole provider of the family? And if she gets sick, she wants to make sure that her kids are taken care of. And these are very empathetic and logical reasons. And then we get this great reaction from George, who's like, well, why didn't you bring this up at the meeting? Because these are very good points. And she remarked that she didn't think anyone would listen. And that the way that Max Gale plays that scene, I thought was really cool, because it showed the fact that he is not a guy that's stubborn, that's not willing to listen if a good argument is made.
It showed a redeeming quality to him after him being kind of a jerk until now. At least it showed that once this lady was saying stuff that was actually relevant, then the guy was more receptive. Although, to be fair, he has to give this guy the job now, because the police officer helped sweep that whole thing under the carpet. So even if this lady now brings him, like, the best plan in which he can make $100 million overnight, he's probably still going to give this kid the promotion, because he promised the father.
He didn't promise the father anything. He just nodded in acknowledging that the father said that at the club.
I see.
And I mean, he could get backlash from the officer if he doesn't do it, but that officer may also be in trouble if he tries to later amend his stuff.
That's right.
The big thing I got out of this, that it showed that he wasn't a closed man. In fact, he was very impressed. He was already impressed with her before. But it shows how practically he thinks, because he's like, and if I hire her, it's better for the budget because I don't have to pay her as much. But one of the things that I appreciate is this is showing that the stuff going on with his wife and daughter, he's taking it more personally. He's not opposed to women having more rights, this stuff, but and being in the workplace and stuff, because he has this woman that he's listening to and he's willing to hear her ideas, and if they're good, he's willing to entertain them. But when it comes to his wife, he's feeling like it's a personal attack on himself. And and the same with his daughter. He's like, I used to, she treated me like I walked on air, listened to everything I said, and now that's just dealing with teenagers in general, let alone this issue. But he's struggling because he sees his family changing, and the very notion of what they're fighting for is to him implying that he's somehow oppressive. And so he's reacting to that like, weren't we happy? Why is all of this suddenly an issue? Why we were happy? And so I think it's more on the personal level that he's struggling with this, but not on the societal level.
No, it's also the concept of like, because his wife and daughter are behaving this way, he's now questioning, well, was everything up until this point true or false? Were they just behaving this way because of something else? Were they afraid of me? Was it patronizing to me? Like he's lost. He doesn't understand what it was, because we have that beautiful moment later on where he thought he has a great marriage and how much he still loves his wife and all that. And he's the concern he has is wondering is his wife not love him anymore? And if his wife doesn't love him, who is he as a man now? Because his entire life has been, how much he loves his wife and how much he loves his kids. And now he's seeing this change in behavior that's making him wonder, was he the one living in a fantasy? And
I also,
this is a common question used in these types of stories all the time.
One of the things I appreciated is he never threatened to kick them out.
Right.
He threatened to leave. So it wasn't like, this is mine, and if you don't appreciate it, there's the door. It was very much like, it was like, if you guys don't love me, if you don't respect me, I'm going to have to leave, was kind of his attitude. So I like, as we go through the episode, we're getting to know him a little bit better, humanize him a little bit more, and kind of understand where he's coming from. And that's one of the things I like, is they're not making him the villain. He's obviously kind of from the wrong way of thinking, but he's not the villain. He's not this horrible person.
I guess. In any case, she makes her impression. Now they're at this meeting, or they're on the way to it, and she again mentions her father and the violence and all this other stuff. Looks like this lady is bad news. I don't even feel like helping her. I don't know why Sam is so, gung-ho to help her. She just seems annoying. Anyhow, sorry, that wasn't nice. I feel like the past few people he wants to help have been kind of jerks. In any case, now I guess they're doing this protest thing. The police officer shows up. Oh wait, we have to switch reel. Let's see some of the comments here.
I would say, Price, in kind of these changes in society, some of the people who are recognized as leading the charge are not always the nicest people.
No, usually the biggest jerks lead the charge, Nick. That's the truth, I guess.
But sometimes, because they lead the charge, it makes things better for the people who aren't the jerks, who didn't have the ability within themselves to step up and say no, or to demand to be treated fairly. So sometimes it takes those individuals, and so I could see why, like, if she's important to helping this movement go, and his violent act led her to be more aggressive, why he wants to undo that.
Yeah, I guess. In any case, I don't know why.
Although she takes a pretty big leap, she goes from he shoved a cop, or she shoved a cop. I'm going to bring a gun.
Yeah, or something of
It's
that.
It's like,
Yeah, I don't know. I have some issues with this episode, but let me find the other. Let's see if people have had anything in the comments. The actress playing the daughter is having her acting debut here.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Matthew Marcillo doing all right. Just grateful the weather in New York City is below 75 tonight. Hope you all are feeling great. Yeah, I actually am not far from you, I think, Matthew. And over the past few days, I keep thinking there's something wrong with me because it's not as hot as you think it would be. Hey, Mary White, nice to see you. Yes, Rhonda Nefero, it is a real change. Michelle Ferry, Sam wants to help the daughter. Oh, okay. Rob Nutscoobla, I like how they portray the organizer lady as beyond help. Some people are just sycophants. Yeah, but the thing is, well, we'll get to it. Hey, Mary White, how's it going? And then Tex Rother, she was in Grounded for Life, the actress and playing the daughter.
Mhm.
Anyhow, and Matthew McGee is here, and he was happy to see Mary. Will, let me try to find this other file.
where you're looking that up. Earlier, I really liked Sam's speech that he had with the daughter,
Yeah.
talking about, there's going to be a lot of people and they're going to have lots of good ideas, but not all of their ideas are going to be good. And so you cannot get swept up just because somebody has some good talking points. You shouldn't believe everything you say. And I think that is so good for today, because it seems like people pick some sort of celebrity or figurehead or talk person, and they go, wow, if this person says it, then that's how I should think.
Yeah, he's using charisma and affirmation of an existing point to sort of drive something else home. And I liked his advice. Is like, sometimes you have to kind of sift through that, just detach yourself from the emotions and see, well, what points are good and what points are bad. And that's what everyone should do. It's part of what's the old adage, question authority. Like someone is preaching to you something, or not to use just the word preach, but just telling you something. It is your duty to scrutinize it, to make sure it holds up to scrutiny, because the stronger ideas that hold up to scrutiny are usually probably the ones worth exploring, and the ones that can't hold up to scrutiny or are shut down because they're afraid of scrutiny are the ones that you should continue to doubt or to continue to push against, because you want to find out, well, what is the real motive behind that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Anyhow, they're here in the
we
car.
start to find out about that with this with this head activist here, this Diana St. Cloud.
Diana St. Cloud. The name is funny. So then Sam shows up here, and she's... Oh, wait, I have to stop this. Okay. And then there's something here where he throws her to the ground, and she pulls the gun. Oh, he basically is using force against her, so the daughter pulls the gun and points it at him. And then she tries to take the gun and shoot him.
No, she doesn't try. She takes that gun.
She takes that
bleeding
gun
from the mouth. She was stepped on by the cop, which he should not have done that.
No, he shouldn't have done that. And then Sam's like, have you told them your demands yet? I want to be a member of this club. Well, the bylaws say that you can't. They don't have to let you in. And then she's like, I'll kill them all. And then at the end, somebody jumps on the gun.
Oh no! Susie saves the chief.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Susie.
Because again, she's basically, Sam at this point is actually showcasing that even though Diana St. Cloud has some good ideas with regards to more choice and opportunity for women, he's showing the hypocrisy, because even at this point, Susie's saying, but we're telling us that women should have the choice to be moms if they want to, and that's not a bad thing, and that they should have the choice to go into the workforce if they want to, and that's not a bad thing. And now we see kind of a little bit of the truth where, Diana St. Cloud is, out of her fear, out of the history with her father, she's seeking a little bit more of power than she is seeking a change.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of a. Sorry, I don't want to say a bad word.
Well, she's being a little bit of
Well,
abusive to the.
I don't want to say a
following
bad
that
word in the
came after.
presence of Nick. If Nick wasn't here, I'd say she's kind of a B, and then I'd complete that word. But I don't want to be disrespectful to Nick.
You're gonna call her a female dog?
I was going to call her a female dog. Yes.
So, one of the things that no, I lost my. But she's trying to get things, and one of the things I appreciated that they talked about the club, like, well, the club is a private thing, so equal rights when there, and that just immediately reminded me of all the discussion that was on Twitter and YouTube and stuff like a year ago about whether or not you have the right to free speech on a company's private platform.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like, well, yeah, they continue that because this is a men's club. You can go form a women's club. You can go, but they can't tell you can't go into the bank or But here specifically, it is a private club, and they get to make the rules. So it was interesting that like came up into the subject.
I mean, there was a time when women could not open bank accounts.
Yes.
Because again, they use that private aspect, but again, it's a private company that has a public service with regards to protection of private property, and that's how they were able to open that up. But with a gentleman's club, it's not a needed service. It is a recreational place of privacy. It can have whatever rules it wants. Yeah.
Yes, and then there's a point.
We're making Price uncomfortable with all our.
Well, I mean,
you're not making me feel uncomfortable. It's fine.
It's club for just people that are 65 and older, and no young people allowed, if you wanted to, and that's and if it's your property and that's your membership, it's great.
We can
That's
do
the YMCA,
club.
Right?
We can do a club,
even though it's the Young Men's Christian Authority. You're supposed to be young to get in there, but I see people of all ages whenever I'm going to play with some basketball with some friends on the courts.
We can create a club that you can only join if you dislike the new Quantum Leaf series, but like the original. That's our terms. At this point, I think the officer is like, well, there's going to be implications to what you did. You pulled out a weapon. And then Sam's like, she saved your life. And then he just says, well, you said some things that were smart. Ugh. I don't know what he says, and he leaves.
But he is right. She did pull a weapon on an officer. Like,
she should go to jail right away. He has to put handcuffs on her, and his son is not even getting that promotion. This daughter is going to jail, theoretically.
Well, and she could appeal before a jury, and a jury could acquit her of that, given the circumstances and that. But yeah,
he had no right to take his weapon. He could have killed her on the spot. She can't take his weapon.
Yeah,
right.
And that's something I always see anytime there's any discussion around police action, police brutality, that kind of stuff. In no situation is it justifiable right to I mean, granted, we've seen situations, like abusive officers, different stuff like that, but it is not wise to pull a weapon on an officer. And it will never go well with you, because whether they're corrupt or not, they're the ones that have the legal authority. So however that goes down, you're in trouble the moment you pull that weapon.
Tex Rogers says, I could join Price's Club, but I'm not quite as anti-new QL as he is. You enjoyed the new Quantum Leaf, Tex.
Well, the other thing to also note is that if an officer does lose their weapon to a suspect or someone else while in the line of duty, that officer also gets into a lot of trouble too.
Yes.
And this guy being the chief of police, who the reason he was able to lose his weapon is because he was overstepping and abusing his authority and the powers that he is sworn to protect, to do so. And you'd like to think in a perfect world he'd be held to account on that, but because of this type of society that we're being showed in this episode here, it's likely that no one is ever going to challenge him or say, hey, why did you, number one, hit that woman, and number two, put your foot on her head or neck?
I am neurotic, says the older I get, I don't see these men as mean. I see them as very, very wise. Well, some of them were kind of mean, but I understand. I think I understand what you're trying to say. Tex Roger says, I did not say I liked it. I disliked most of it, but thought some shows were okay. That's fine. I was just kidding. By the way, I heard Tex Rogers sing this week, and he has a very kind of deep
Ooh.
voice with a lot of character. It was very interesting. So I actually heard it. I hope it's not a secret, Tex, that I said that I heard you sing. But I heard somebody else say that they heard you sing, so I feel like I didn't do anything bad here.
It's funny because I've not watched the new show, and I don't really it's done nothing to win me over to watch it. But
That
I
is
will
correct.
say the one showrunner that Price really likes to nail on.
Is a hack.
I was initially excited because I like all his work in sci-fi before this. So that it was one of those things when he was like talking about who that was, and I saw some other people. I think it was the Popcast guys that were like all excited when the new show came out because of who was running it and his previous work on. He did
He's a
Stargate,
complete
and then
disaster. I feel like I can write that guy under the table, at least when it comes to Quantum Leap. Whatever happened in Quantum Leap, that man is a disgrace. The only thing I think that's been successful for him in more recent years, that was his operation. He did that Blind Spot show, but Blind Spot is more of like a police cop drama with a bunch of mystery boxes. And that's why.
Well, here's the thing that I find funny is because on Stargate he didn't do any drama. All of his stuff was entirely action. He was the action director and writer.
Was that
on Quantum Leap? He was the crap writer and director. That's all I can say.
No,
on the screen was crap. It had his signature on it.
They worked on Gotham and Alcatraz. Those are terrible shows.
All I know is that Martin Giro, I have no respect for that man. And the fact that recently, I guess they rolled out that Blind Spot show and put it on Netflix and people were watching it, that disappointed me. I understand it's more of a cop drama situation with some mystery boxes and people enjoyed it. But for me, anytime that I hear that Martin Giro gets anything good happening to him or his career, I don't feel good about it because he absolutely flushed Quantum Leap down the toilet. And he did it not accidentally. Not that he had good intentions. He had very bad intentions, in my opinion. But I don't want to get into that.
But it's just one of those things where I find it funny because I have no idea. Like I could secretly actually enjoy the show if I watched it. I don't know. I probably wouldn't, but I
don't think you will. I don't think you will, Nick. I'm telling you that there's certain things that happen on this show that I feel you're going to be like, you know what? I'm out.
Yeah, the show is pretty bad. Blind Spot. I remember because that's the one with the time traveling woman who's got tattoos all over her body, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, which is basically the same sort of gimmick that Prison Break used. And I just thought it was really lame.
Is she a time traveler? I
thought she appeared out of she was missing and she shows up and now she's covered in tattoos,
but I don't know if it had anything to do with time travel. I honestly don't even know. I know that show was a piece of crap. Like I once actually years ago started watching that. I think I watched an episode or two, thought it was dumb and didn't continue. I guess somebody liked it and they gave him his own show. The reason why he got Quantum Leap was because of Blind Spot.
Yeah, because Blind Spot ran 100 episodes and then they canceled it so they could do their syndication,
right,
and distribution.
And I think that he kind of is known that he I don't know if to say he can get stuff done quickly and cheaply, but I think that's the general vibe of what he gives.
Well, the CW hired him to do a remake of Kung Fu, and that was terrible. That only lasted a season. Then he did I think he did La Brea, or no, he did what's the other show he did? Deception, I think it was. I think he was a producer on that. and I think he was with Joe Malazio on Dark Matter too for a bit, right? Joseph Malazzi, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was the other show I was trying to think. It was Dark Matter.
yeah, Dark Matter's all right. I mean, it's not.
Yeah,
It reminds me a lot of Deepwater Black, if you know your old sci-fi shows from the late '90s. It's also about cloning and trying to find stuff, but
and
but
did he work at all on Travelers
ooh, that's a
on
good
Brad
question.
Light's show? Because
I don't think he worked on that.
No, I don't think so.
I like Travelers, and I don't think he worked on it.
well, I think Black Matter. Yeah, I think it was Joseph Malazzi that he followed then, kind of on the coattails with, but from Stargate.
Yeah,
Because I knew he worked on one of the shows following Stargate. The people from that.
Universe, and then he. Oh gosh, what was the other one? He did something else before he did Dark Matter, but I can't remember.
No, if there were anything that he's done that's close to what you described for the new Quantum Leap, it would probably be Stargate Universe.
No, Stargate Universe is way better.
Oh,
Anyhow, Ron Nefero says, New Quantum Leap had one redeeming quality. It's why I found Price of Reason live. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And here, this is the final scene here before I forget that they're talking about their marriage and he threatens to leave. And at the end, Sam kind of manages to talk him out of that and explain that he has to care about what Sam wants and not just what he wants or whatever.
Learn more about her feelings as opposed to just her knowing her as a role in his life. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And this is where I was like, yeah, it turns out that they get the marriage is good and that George actually promotes Evie and gives her the full pay.
And then he wants to kiss. This is actually kind of funny. Today you wouldn't see that he wants to kiss Sam, and Sam's like, "Ew," and then he leaps. And then
he leaps into another woman.
And he leaps into another. Not only a woman, he leaps into Dr. Ruth Vestheimer.
Yes, a real character, which violates the initial rules of Quantum Leap. Never leap into a real person.
Right, and the thing is this season, if you think about it, this rule was violated like 4 times.
Yeah, there's another real person as well.
We're not done with all the real people. We had Leah Harvey Oswald. We had Dr. Ruth. And then there's one more. I won't say what it is. There's one more. And in addition, there's one where it's not, he didn't leap into the person, but there's another celebrity. So there's a few left that they're going to really, I feel like they were desperate. I don't really even know. It really seems like they were scrambling this season. I don't know if it was because of network pressure. I don't know if it had some stuff to do behind the scenes. Don't forget they were getting a divorce while this show was being produced. Deborah Pratt and Belisario. I don't really know what happened, but this season threw them off their game. I still think there's some takeaways that I like from the season, but a lot of throwing them off their game. Anyhow, the thing ends, and the episode is over. That was an episode, I guess.
I'll be interested to see next episode because, in all honesty, with this episode being so heavy into the feminism subject, having next episode also be him going into a woman, feels like a bit much.
I feel the same way as you, Nick. I generally don't like when he leaps into a woman that much, and two back-to-back episodes is too much.
If but it's not even just that it's 2 back-to-back episodes. It's imagine Driving Miss Daisy, and if the next episode he leaped into another black man. You have such a heavy, potent episode that to do that again right after it, it's going to lessen the week before, and it's also going to have the audience go, "Oh, it's more of this." And I feel like when you have an episode with such a heavy message that it's best to then go somewhere else to kind of relieve that pressure, if it will, and let that message sit.
Yeah, I guess.
Hmm.
Anyhow, I will say that I don't love when he leaps into women. Personally, for me, this episode, it's not a top tier episode. It's an episode that gets enough right, and maybe if it was in a season where every episode is like a home run, and you kind of place this somewhere in between a lot of home runs, I can be more forgiving. But I didn't love the episode. It's not the worst. It's by no means it's not the worst episode, but it could be bottom
I-
20
yeah.
or 30 for me, for sure.
I mean, well, this one is back to traditional form because it's Sam trying to deal with a problem within the family. It's more like a season 2 episode than is a season 5 overall, because of season 5 does get a bit more peculiar as we go. But yeah, I mean, it's not.
And I
fantastic,
think
but it's also not
sometimes
terrible at all. Yeah.
we have to take off our 2025 lens, because sometimes you hear the term feminism, and I think that's what you two were talking about when I popped in, but you almost cringe at that because what feminism has become is
Yeah,
very
it's been-
different from what it started at.
Yeah, the crazies have taken it on in its own direction, because when you read the transcript of her speech, everything she says is a reasonable person would be like, yeah, that's fine. It's just and then when we get further into the show and she starts adding new stuff and talking about violence and then talking about oppression and certain elevations there that don't quite really follow through with the initial intentions, then you're feeling, oh yeah, this is the type of woman who, when she gets a taste of power for the first time, her instinct is to abuse it as opposed to use it to rally in her points, because we find out, yeah, she gets arrested, she's in 5 years, and eventually she kind of reforms afterwards, but doesn't justify the level of behavior she had, the level of being defiant for the sake of being defiant. And then Sam calling her out on, like, well, did you tell them what it is you want? And then catching her to the point where she's like, oh yeah, I didn't do that, because it was maybe for her, it's not really about what the movement is. It's about her just trying to, get some closure over an abusive parent by getting back at the archetype of that parent.
I would say this episode does a really good job with how Sam confronts it, and he's got a number of speeches or lessons that he gives in this, and he is coming from the perspective of a man from past the feminist revolution, past women getting full rights and having his modern sensibilities, but he is able to explain it in a way that you have to be reasonable. This is the compromise. When sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment of a change like that happening, neither side wants to budge, and he's
right.
Some of the ways he explained it, and some of that reasonableness is the reasonableness that is lacking in the world today. And so I really I appreciated how Sam was with the thing. I was a little disappointed that Al wasn't more on point in this episode. He had the one great scene where he was helping Sam to understand, this guy's not a monster. This is just the world he's living in, and this is what he understands and what he knows. But Al would have lived through this.
Yeah.
And so we've seen him talk, real passionately about civil rights. And as much as he, Al might not be the biggest fan of something like the Me Too movement, I would see that Al would probably be fully on board with women having rights and being treated fair in the workplace and that kind of stuff.
No, I'm not suggesting that he wouldn't have that. But sorry, go on.
But I mean, I felt like they didn't. He wasn't really in this one a whole lot, And this comes up because I watched these 2 episodes kind of one night after another for last week's that I missed. I also felt Al was very off in that one, but he was much more involved. But I just felt it very weird that while Al's a ladies' man, I could see Al being one of those guys that would like to take, a couple of girls back to his room type situations of a guy. But I've never really pegged him as the morally cheater and being like, man, I wish I had thought of being a bigamist. It's like, it felt really weird having Al just be like, this guy's got it great. I could have had 10 ex-wives, And
I'll tell you what, last episode, I didn't really like it. And after you have an episode like the bigamist one, which is bottom tier for me, you really want an episode that's going to be more of a slam dunk. And this feminist episode, it's fine. It's okay, but I didn't love it. I don't know why. It's just, I'm not saying that I wasn't okay with any of the times he leaped into a woman. This one just kind of had me, it was like an eye roll type of episode. I don't know. Sorry, I am.
I don't know. I thought it's a bit more. I found it a bit more genuine, than how it would have been taken.
It genuinely annoyed me.
Well, I mean, like with any type of movement, there's always some sort of pushback for it. But I mean, with this one here, there's far more honest approach to it, and it's not. I mean, it only really makes Peter the bad guy. Really, him and his family are the only ones that are a little bit really. You could argue are the bad guy from the male perspective of things, and then Diana is, of course, a bad woman from her perspective because she's not a good leader. Like, and she's not. She may be able to rally, has the charisma to get people around her, but she's not a good leader for what she's preaching. And you find out that Sam, as the mom, is clearly a better one. And also she's instilled enough agency in her daughter to be able to point out and see, like, yeah, you're not staying true to the stuff that convinced me to follow this path. To Diana.
Let me ask you, Bryce, just because I know you're a fan of Deep Space Nine, recently had gone through it. What are your thoughts on the Quark's mom episodes?
I got
because there's an episode that's very similar to this in a way. Just everybody has big ears.
I'm trying, and the mom also was she was going out with somebody who had money, right? There was some rich guy that she went out with or something, right?
In that, well, yeah, she went out with Grand Negus Zek, and she was convincing him to reform to allow women to wear clothes on Ferenginar, because then if they did that, they would spend money.
Didn't that guy have money too for some reason? Why do I?
The Grand Negus has like the most money.
Right, that's what I remember.
He's the president of a planet that puts wealth above all other goals. So yeah, he's the richest man on the planet.
Right. Now, okay. So yeah, that whole situation, and it was kind of. It's not. I had to. It's one of those episodes that I kind of push aside in my mind. I remember watching it, but it doesn't require a rewatch for me, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
It was fine.
I'm getting the beat for you.
Listen, it's not. I don't want to give this vibe that like, oh, he hates all this women's lib. It's fine. It's not that I don't like it. It's just sometimes in sci-fi, I don't need to be. It doesn't need to make so many appearances every second. I get it. They need to have lib, whatever. It's fine. You know what
You're
I'm
good.
saying?
We're not judging you, Price. We're not judging you.
Yeah, it's fine. Women's lib. It's fine. I just did with Quark's mom. That whole thing was annoying. But yeah. I got through that. I got through this episode of Quantum Leap, and again, it's not. Neither of them were terrible, but it's also not my favorite thing either.
That's understandable.
London Farrow agree. Quark's mom was similar to this Quantum Leap. Grand Negus, yeah.
Although,
Marlo's channel says the Me Too movement was mentioned in the QL episode Runaway. I'm so
that's the new QL, the new Quantum Leap series. Yeah.
Oh, you have to point out that it's the new quantum leap. Wasn't mentioned in it. That new quantum leap is just a disgrace. But okay. In any case, I think we've gone over everything. Oh, and it's already getting late.
Yep.
Remember, ladies, Script Doctor's girlfriend is the exception, not the rule. Big boobs need support. Well, thank you. I have new dick for.
That's what's called chest flies with your dumbbells, 5 pounds.
Before we go, I just want to quickly tell you, if you're not subscribed already to Script Doctor, I have a feeling that everybody here is, but I'm still gonna make sure to share his link here, just so
thank you.
everybody knows, and also to Nick. If you're not subscribed, you have to do that as well. So now I'm gonna first of all put the Script Doctor. Yes, you're right. I'm running out of time. This is a show about time, and I'm running out of it. In any case, let's see what else we got. I have Nick. I need the backyard Tardis one. Backyard Tardis. Okay. And now I'm sharing this one. Mary White says, sorry, I don't have the shout outs this week. That's okay. Let me quickly do this. We'll do it the old fashioned way. So Matthew Marcillo, Tex Rogers, Ron Donofero, Matthew McGee, and possibly his wife Chrissy, who watches together with him. I don't know if always or not, though. Marla Sharondoff, Ron Donofero, Tex Rogers, Rabnat Skubla, Storm King. If I forgot somebody, then I apologize. But I think I'm doing okay. I have Nurudik. And try to see if I forgot anybody. Scrolling very fast. Mary White is here. I don't know if I mentioned her. I did mention Robnut Skubla. Well, thankfully the chat is long and a lot of people are talking, and that's always fun. I think I went over most, if not all. But Matthew McGee, Price of Reason Live, you just made Chrissy's night. Thank you, Price. Oh, thank you, Matthew. Yeah, no, I know you guys watch together. I appreciate that. Anyhow, I think that we've covered everything, and it was certainly an episode, and next week we have another episode. But in the bigger picture, there aren't many episodes left, so whatever experience this is, we're getting close to the finish line here.
Well, if everybody has a good night, and head over to the Night Owl for some bra burning.
Wait a minute. I can actually transfer people from this stream to that stream, no?
You can redirect, do a redirect link. Yeah.
How do I do that? Let me see.
No clue.
Okay, I used to know how to do this.
It's much simpler on Twitch. That's all I know.
Let's see for a second. Customization.
But anytime I see somebody do it to somebody else, the person that's getting the people coming over goes, "Oh, that's so cool. How do you do that?"
Yep.
YouTube makes it so complicated.
Now are people being redirected? Did it even work, or was I too late?
Well, I think once your show ends, that's when they'll get redirected.
Hey, Karate Werewolf.
Yep.
Okay, so I should end it quickly. Let me see. Why does the other one it didn't save the thumbnail? Very strange. I'll just fix the thumbnail crisis. Shoot. Give me 1 second. Thumbnail crisis. By the way, I don't want to. Doesn't matter. While we were on this stream, I guess another object was thrown at a WNBA game.
Yeah, we were talking about how there's a huge opportunity where you could just sell those objects to fans to throw on the court there, and then you pick them back up and then you sell them to fans for the next game, and then that makes some extra revenue that you could use to pay the players what they think they deserve.
I think I
And you can
understand.
give them
what
all
you're
sorts
saying.
of names after other basketball players like Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James.
And I think now is a good time for us to end the stream. See you guys next week. Bye.
I'm